election. What you need to know before you head to the polls.
Plus, the first oral contraceptive approved for over-the-counter use is now available online.
And in sports, how the Ohio Bobcats fared in Cleveland. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Haley Swano.
And I'm Reese Thompson. Welcome to Newswatch. The primary election will soon begin. Here's everything you need to know about the election day. Tomorrow, 4 states, including Ohio, will be the voting for the primary election through in-person or mail-in ballots. The polls will open at 6:30 p.m. and will close at 7:30 p.m. And you must vote in your registered county with a valid ID. To find your Ohio's polling station, go to voteohio.gov. The Southeast Ohio Food Bank will serve Meigs County residents next week with a food distribution event. People can pick up boxes at the Meigs County Fairgrounds on Friday, March 22nd from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Fresh produce and other food items will be available for people who qualify for state benefits or with incomes under 200% of federal poverty guidelines. A photo ID and proof of residency no more than 60 days old is required to access food assistance. You can find more information by contacting the Southeast Ohio Food Bank.
Well, the Adena Mansion and Gardens historic site in Chillicothe will officially open in April. The estate of Ohio's 6th governor, Thomas Worthington, and his family will open on April 3rd for the 2024 season. The historic site will be available to the public for tours on Wednesdays through Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then Sundays from noon to 5 p.m. For more information, visit adenamansion.com. Well, a state of emergency was called in central Ohio after severe weather struck more than 10 counties. Governor Mike DeWine declared the state of emergency yesterday after last week's storms. DeWine also sent the National Guard over to Logan County, where 3 lives were lost. The National Guard was sent to help officials with the cleanup of storm debris. The National Weather Services confirmed a total of 9 tornadoes in the last week, including an EF3 tornado that ripped through Glaze County and continued through northern Logan County. Some EF2 tornadoes were even confirmed in Union, Dark Crawford, Richland, and Miami counties.
Hopefully, things will start to look up as the first day of spring is 1 day away. The first day of astronomical spring falls on a different day every year. It occurs on the vernal equinox when the amount of daylight is roughly 12 hours long. This is the earliest in March the equinox has fallen since 1896. Joining us now is Newswatch lead forecaster Emily Dietz. Now, Emily, I think the groundhog has been lying to us because it is literally snowing out today. And speaking of spring tomorrow, is that actually going to look like it's going to be happening in Southeast Ohio?
Yeah, well, it definitely doesn't feel like spring. I was looking outside today walking, and I just got hit with cold air and snow right in my face. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on?
Going to class was brutal today.
Oh, it really was. I wasn't expecting it, and it just all of a sudden right in my face. And I was like, oh, well, there we go. Happy spring tomorrow. But taking a look outside over the past couple of hours, we really did see those snow showers roll through Athens. And unfortunately, we're not expecting those to stop anytime soon this evening. So we're going to continue to see a couple of snow flurries and showers into the evening hours as we see the system move down from that northwest area. Now, taking a look at what's going on right now in Southeast Ohio, we're looking at 36 degrees, so definitely really cold outside with, again, light snow falling down on us. Just a little bit of a dusting can be expected, but overall nothing to be too concerned about. We are also seeing heavy winds as well, with consistent winds around 15 miles an hour and gusts around 22 miles an hour. Those are some very strong winds we are seeing right now. Now, currently across the area, Lancaster's around 34 degrees, Zanesville 35, so definitely a lot of that cold air being pulled down from those northern areas up near Canada, up near the Great Lakes, down into our area, which is why we're seeing such cool temperatures as well as that snow. But it's not the snow it's not the snow as to why we're seeing a special weather statement issued for Southeast Ohio and down into West Virginia. It's actually more the wind and the dry vegetation. This special weather statement is issued from throughout the day today into the early morning hours tomorrow, and that is due to an increased risk of fire weather due to that dry brush and a lot of that wind that could possibly push any embers into that dry area. Now, taking a look at the next couple of hours, we're looking at slight light snow showers tonight. Tomorrow morning, partly cloudy and chilly. We're going to be in the mid-20s. And throughout the day tomorrow, partly cloudy skies. So be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're going to take a look at what we can really expect for these next couple of days as we move into spring.
Thanks, Emily. An Ohio woman was sentenced to prison for life without the possibility of parole after the death of her 16-month-old daughter. Crystal Candelario was announced guilty for the death of her daughter, Jalen, after leaving her home alone to go on vacation. Candelario left the child unattended for 10 days last June when she traveled to Detroit and Puerto Rico. She called 911 after finding her child unresponsive in a playpen on soiled blankets. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Candelario pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and endangering a child. The Southeastern Ohio Regional Jail in Nelsonville is facing felony charges after accusations of distributing contraband. 24-year-old William McMillan Jr. faces 1 count of drug trafficking and 1 count of illegal conveyance of drugs and prohibited items. The Southeast Major Crimes Task Force was alerted by jail staff about these suspected crimes. Allegedly, inmates were paying McMillan through a digital currency app for nicotine patches and illegal narcotics. McMillan pleaded guilty to the crimes and was released from court Friday on his own recognizance with an ankle monitor. Coming up, there is no age limit to purchase the new over-the-counter contraceptive that is now available online. And one type of cancer may have therapy treatments to help patients live longer.
Things are cooling down as we move into first day of spring. Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out just what type of weather we're expecting for this week.
Midway upon the journey of our life.
The Divine Comedy is one of these books that are made every once in a while in human history.
The poem emerges from this moment of profound crisis.
Is in danger, he can be killed by anybody.
And this reaction is actually to show that there is another way.
Tonight at 8 on WOUB.
When you hear the term the future, what does that conjure up?
What we do and the things we create over the next few decades will shape all minds going forward for the rest of time.
I set out in search of people who are building better futures.
Civilization is precious. Life is precious.
Hundreds of years from now, they're going to look back on our generation as the most pivotal in human history.
Fasten your seatbelt.
This is amazing.
Oh, no! Wow.
Did you vote?
It feels like I have a home.
These are your immigrant ancestors.
This is wild.
Never anticipated this. I am forever changed.
I'm pleased to tell you you're going to be finding your roots.
Are we really this close?
I can't tell you what we found, but what we found was you.
Regardless of your stage of life, whether you're starting your first job, getting the keys to a new home, or enjoying retirement, it's never too early or too late to create an estate plan to care for loved ones and support the causes that are meaningful to you. WOUB Public Media is pleased to have partnered with Giving Dogs, a free resource for building an estate plan that fits your needs and protects the people and causes you care about. Visit WOUB.org and click the support tab to get started today.
Move the chair. The first oral contraceptive approved for over-the-counter use with no age limit in the United States is now available for online purchase. Healthcare experts say this marks a major milestone in access to contraception in the United States. Michael Yoshida reports.
For the first time in U.S. history, online orders have begun for over-the-counter birth control pills. There are no age restrictions and no prescription necessary.
I think is a win for everybody. It allows improved access to contraceptive care to women. It is also, I think, financially very doable.
Perrigo, the company behind the pill, says 1-month packs will be sold with a suggested price of $19.99. Approved by the FDA last year, the company says O-Pill is 98% effective at preventing pregnancy when taken as directed at the same time every day. OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says most hormonal birth control pills contain both progestin and estrogen, which for some can carry risk of blood clots, heart attacks, affect migraine headaches, and shouldn't be used by smokers over 35. But O-Pill uses only progestin to prevent pregnancy.
There are some people who should not take the estrogen combination pills, but for them, O-Pill is probably safe.
She says the list of people who shouldn't take progestin-only pills for medical reasons is very short, including those with certain conditions like breast cancer or liver disease, or if they're taking certain medications.
In general, birth control is very safe, and I think we're seeing improved access because it's been around for so long, and we know it's very safe.
Following the online launch, O-Pill is expected to hit shelves later this month at major retailers and pharmacies, including Walgreens and CVS. I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
Perigo says orders will be fulfilled within a day or two. They will be sent in plain, unbranded boxes for the customer's privacy. President Joe Biden spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for the first time in more than a month today. The call came during rising tensions between the two leaders over the war between Israel and Hamas. According to the White House, the leaders discussed the importance of getting more humanitarian aid into Gaza. President Biden is also believed to have raised concern about the pending Israeli operation in Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinian civilians have sought shelter. The phone call follows Biden's support of a speech by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, who called for new Israeli elections that could threaten Netanyahu's ouster. The rift between the two leaders has grown in recent months due to differences in getting humanitarian aid to Gaza, protecting civilians there, and more.
Tomorrow, California's 20th Congressional District is holding a special primary to fill former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's seat for the rest of the term. Julia Benbrook takes a look at why this seat is significant.
After former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted from his leadership position, he made the decision to step down from Congress, making a narrow House majority even smaller.
I will be departing, but that doesn't mean I'll stop serving.
The California Republican spent much of his 17 years in the House serving in leadership and became House Speaker last year after a historic 15 rounds of voting. His hold on the gavel lasted just 9 months until the right flank of his party, upset with the then Speaker for putting a stopgap spending bill on the floor with the help of Democrats, launched a successful bid to vacate him from his leadership role.
He didn't have enough votes to spare, meaning he had to try to satisfy everyone and ultimately satisfied no one. They ultimately ended up looking for different leadership.
Selecting a new speaker was a complicated process as well. After several rounds of closed-door voting, Republicans selected Mike Johnson of Louisiana as their nominee.
Speaker Johnson's in the exact same position, and potentially even harder, given that there has been some departures. There's been the ouster of George Santos. There's a narrowing of what was already a really historically small majority.
Johnson has his work cut out for him this week as lawmakers scramble to avert a partial government shutdown ahead of a federal government funding deadline in just a few days. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
United Airlines CEO unveils a new plan in response to the company's multiple flight mishaps in the past month. This month alone, there have been at least 6 flight incidents that have occurred mid-flight, compounded by the fact that United Airlines is Boeing's biggest customer. And Boeing is under federal investigation following a string of quality control lapses and in-flight incidents in recent months. Now, United CEO Scott Kirby is stressing the importance of safety. Kirby assured customers that the unrelated incidents did get the airline's attention, and United has sharpened its focus by expanding training programs for pilots and mechanics, along with dedicating more resources to manage its supplier network.
Good evening. It has been a chilly day down here in Southeast Ohio, with right now temperatures are about 36 degrees, and we're also seeing some light snow. We had a little bit of a heavier snow later this afternoon, but we're going to continue to see these flurries as we go throughout the evening. But you may also notice that along with the snow, it has been very windy outside. We're seeing winds from about 15 miles an hour consistently to gusts up to 22 miles an hour. And these 22-mile-an-hour gusts are why we are seeing a special weather statement issued for southeast Ohio down into West Virginia, and even parts into Kentucky. This is going to be issued from throughout the day today until we go into the evening hours, and that is due to an increased risk of fire weather. We have a lot of dry brush on the ground right now since we haven't hit those spring, really green, vibrant plants just yet, and these winds are really good for pushing embers into these dry brushes, possibly producing wildfires. So if you're in an area with dry brush, be advised of anything that you may be doing to prevent any wildfires from happening. But just where are these winds coming from? Taking a look at our map throughout the day today, we can really see this really nice system developing through the Great Lakes area, just pulling all this wind and cold air down into Ohio, which is also why we're seeing some of that snow. So we have this high pressure way up here in Canada, which is really circulating up here, pulling a lot of this cool air down towards us. And as that moves across the Great Lakes area, combined with this cold front, it's really allowing for a lot of the snow to build up and just move through the area, creating these off and on snow showers that we're expecting to see. Now this cold front also has this big cold air pocket behind it, and I really like this map because it gives a really nice description of just how that air is moving down into our area from a combination of that high pressure system and that cold front. But if you notice to the west, things are going to be lightening up as the system continues to push towards the east. So even though it's going to be cold tonight, we're looking at that overnight low of 24 degrees. So if you're planning on going outside at all, make sure to grab that jacket. And we're also going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies with the possibility for some snow flurries through the evening hours. Now tomorrow's going to be a little bit different. We're going to see mostly cloudy skies from the remainder of the system and a high of 52 tomorrow. Now that's going to be a really kind of a chillier 52 degrees since we have those mostly cloudy skies, and we're not expecting these winds to really let up too much. So it'll be a bit of a windier day tomorrow as well, and our overnight low will still be in the 30s. It'll be 35, so still chillier as well. And looking at tomorrow, here's a good look at our map as we see that system has well moved into the Great Lakes area up to the northeast of us, and we have two cold fronts sort of developing behind us in that Great Plains area. And as these continue to advance over the next 36 hours, so tomorrow evening, we're going to see these start to get closer and closer. And right behind these cold fronts is a big pocket of this cold air right along here that's going to be pushing down into our area. And by the time we get to Wednesday, we may see some snow flurries again on the eastern part of the state, but again, it'll still be pretty chilly outside, with Tuesday and Wednesday both being up in the 50s. But on Wednesday, that's when we see that big shift. So our overnight conditions are going to be back in the mid-20s as well. So by the time we get to Thursday, it'll be mostly sunny at least, but it'll be back in the 40s with a high of 49 degrees. And Friday, we see a warm front move through, so that's where we see our 56-degree high, and that 40% chance of rain, that's just going to be moving in to that cold air, causing a lot of that rain to happen with our overnight low of 35 degrees. And we'll see that sort of consistent small fluctuations in our temperature as we move throughout the rest of the week. So be sure to stay tuned to Newswatch to get good updates on what kind of weather we're expecting as we move into spring.
Thanks, Emily. Well, it's a cancer that disproportionately affects African Americans. Myeloma, also called multiple myeloma, has no cure. But in honor of Multiple Myeloma Awareness Month, Mandy Gaither explains how significant advances in therapies are helping patients live longer in today's Health Minute.
It's a cancer of the plasma cells, which are antibody-creating white blood cells that protect against infection. Myeloma often strikes those over the age of 45.
And there's over 30,000 people each year in the United States alone that are diagnosed with this particular condition.
Hematologist Rafael Fonseca with Mayo Clinic says patients with myeloma may experience kidney failure, bone destruction and pain, and anemia. But in his years of training and treatment of myeloma, he's seen a shift in survival rates.
Over 25 years ago, patients had an average life expectancy of about 2 years. Nowadays, many patients can expect to live 10, 15, and even sometimes 20 years after their diagnosis.
Fonseca says that's due to advances in treatment of the disease, including medications and immunotherapy.
We have antibodies that directly bind to the myeloma cells and kill them, so that's very effective. We have a number of them.
Fonseca says there are also new therapies like CAR T, a cell therapy where a patient's T cells, a type of white blood cell, are taken and retrained through genetic engineering.
They can be given back to the person, but now they have a target, and that target is myeloma cells. And some of these treatments are highly, highly effective. In particular, the CAR T cells, we see that in some clinical trials, more than 90% of patients can have very deep responses.
For Health Minute, I'm Andy Gaither.
The doctors say as research continues and with more advances in available treatments, he's hopeful that myeloma will become a curable disease.
Next in sports, a recap of the Ohio Bobcats in the MAC tournament. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on Instagram, X formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube.
Pedro, a blind, undocumented college student, faces extraordinary hurdles. As he juggles caring for himself, his family, and community, their future remains uncertain.
I wanted to help people, tell others that things are possible.
Unseen on POV.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
Times are changing.
Every nut and bolt, you know its breaking point, but the humans have not been quantified.
I'm here to serve, I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, and so whatever happens, just remember that.
I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 39.
You never know what's going to happen if you don't give up.
Holding it together is more exhausting than the disease itself.
You might live.
You have to hunt. If you don't do subsistence activities, you die.
It connects us to our past.
Breaking tonight, people shot and 8 killed.
At massage parlors.
That was my mother.
In Fulton County, all the victims are Asian American women.
What it is a hate crime.
During a time where Asian Americans were being targeted.
Maybe that's a question you should ask China.
It was an example of what racism towards Asians could lead to.
Our goal is to make sure people don't think that our community is invisible anymore.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Welcome back. I'm Peyton Brooker. Over the past week, both the Ohio men's and women's basketball team traveled to Cleveland, Ohio to compete in the MAC tournament. Starting off with women's basketball as they fell to Ball State 77-53 in the opening round of the tournament. The Bobcats had a lot of youth this year in the team, including freshman Lele Fantroy, Monica Williams, and Bailey Tabling, as well as sophomore Jayla McCurr, who all continued to step up. Head coach Bob Bolden recognized what the team learned throughout the season.
Uncertainty with the freshmen and the transfers and, Peyton and Maddie coming back as to who could do what. And I think it probably took them a little longer than it should have to figure out who could do what. I think we have a better idea of who can do what moving into this offseason.
And on Friday, the men's team fell short against Akron 65-62. In the first half, the Bobcats defense held the Zips to just 16 points and forced 15 turnovers. This allowed Ohio to hold a 26-16 lead at the half. But the Akron star forward and MAC Player of the Year, Enrique Freeman, came alive in the second half. Freeman finished with 24 points and 21 rebounds, setting a new rebound record in the MAC tournament. For Ohio, this ends their season in the semifinals for the third year in a row. Though for the future, Aiden Hadaway says he continues to improve.
So much, and I'm just going to use what he taught me and take it on to the next season and continue to try to be a leader for especially the incoming freshmen coming in.
In high school basketball, the Bodford Lady Wildcats returned back to the state finals Saturday, where they would fall short to Fort Laramie 42-29. Fort Laramie was down on both sides of the floor, shooting 43% and racking up 16 steals. For the Wildcats, turnovers were an issue, where they struggled to mount an offense. Junior Kendall Surrey led the Wildcats in scoring, putting up 19 points. For head coach Jerry Close, he said after the game that even with the close loss, the team still was putting effort on the grandest stage.
Balls that bounced off our shoulders, bounced off our legs, and we just didn't get it. So some days it is just not your day. But the fight was there. The kids fought all the way through. That's all we can ask.
The Wildcats finished the season with an overall record of 24 wins and 4 losses. And finally, on the diamond, the Ohio Bobcats failed to sweep the series over the Kent State Golden Flashes, losing 22-4 in yesterday's series finale. Kent State had a big fifth inning where they scored 13 consecutive runs off 10 hits. Senior Josh Johnson had a standout day for the Golden Flashes with 7 RBIs and a home run. Tomorrow, Ohio will try to shake off the loss on the road at Highland Heights, Kentucky, where they take on the Northern Kentucky Norse. And for the softball, Bobcats dropped their doubleheader on Saturday, but bounced back yesterday, shutting out Ball State 7-0. Ohio kept the bats going all game, with 12 hits as a team from help from sophomore Shelby Wessler, who gathered 3 RBIs and a home run. Sophomore Skip Miller pitched all 7 innings, giving her third shutout of the season, with Ball State only giving up 5 hits off her. The Bobcats will remain on the road on Friday as it's off to Oxford and take on rival Miami. And that's all I have here for sports. Back to you, Haley and Reese at the desk.
Thanks, Peyton. Still ahead, Chicago continues their unique annual tradition celebrating St. Patrick's Day. But first, here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Your timing is absolutely perfect.
Okay, my heart's beating through my chest.
It's a fresh start for all of us.
When mothers come to us, they bring everything they are with them.
It's what I love doing.
Now is our chance to be big. Do you think you can do it?
Watch me.
This is probably crazy.
If I could be with anyone in the world, it would be with you.
Sunday on WOUB.
These icebergs are amazing.
Journey to the icy ends of the Earth.
It just looks like Mars.
Where the secrets of the past.
We're on a beach.
We're on a beach 3 million years ago.
Hold the clues to our future.
This place is so amazing.
This is the stuff that gives us a glimpse into a past warmer world.
Humans are geology. We are impacting this planet.
Polar Extremes on Nova.
Wednesday at 9 on WOUB.
Once the highest paid actress in America.
Goodness, what beautiful diamonds. Goodness had nothing to do with it, dearie.
Meet writer-producer seductress Mae West. She was a girl who lost her reputation.
Bad girl. You'll find out.
And never missed it.
I'm no angel.
The glamour of 1930s Hollywood depended a lot on Mae West.
You mustn't see me sometimes.
Come here and see Mae West, Dirty Blonde.
Are you in town for good?
I expect to be here, but not for good.
On American Masters.
Friday at 9 on WOUB.
Adams thought she would socialize democracy across class lines, across race lines.
Lobbying Congress and pounding the pavement, cleaning the streets of Chicago, trying to improve the world.
Imagine if someone says, you can't do that because you're a woman.
She was uncompromising in what she thought was right.
Jane Addams, Together We Rise, on American Stories.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, we hope everybody had a great St. Patrick's Day. We know those in Chicago did, that's for sure. Thousands turned out to take in a nearly 70-year-old annual tradition where local officials took the Chicago River with a great deal of dye in tow, turning the Windy City waterway emerald green to enhance the St. Patty's Day scene. The yearly celebration is orchestrated by the Chicago Plumbers Union. They say the dye mixture actually starts out orange, but once it hits the water, it fades to the shade of jade. Now, Emily, for those who are still celebrating, how's the weather looking?
Thanks, Reese. That sounds like a great celebration. Here in Athens, we were seeing some snow flurries, and we're going to continue to see those into the evening. But we also have a special weather statement issued for Southeast Ohio, as well as West Virginia and Kentucky, and that is due to the high winds we are seeing in the dry brush, which increases our risk of seeing some fires around the area. Now, tonight we'll see that overnight low of 24 degrees and mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow will be slightly warmer with that high of 52, but still chilly in those evening hours. And looking at Wednesday, we're going to see another cold front move through the area, which is going to have our Wednesday temperatures throughout the day warm up into the 50s, but overnight those will drop down into the 20s, so our low for Wednesday will be 23, and Thursday we'll see a high of 49, so it's really going to reflect that cold front moving through. So I hope everyone has a great week as we jump into spring.
Thanks, Emily. Well, we do have a quick correction to a story earlier in the newscast about the corrections officer at the Southeastern Regional Jail who is facing charges for allegedly distributing contraband to inmates. We said 24-year-old William McMillan pled guilty to the charges. We should have said McMillan admitted to the crimes in an interview with investigators. We do apologize for the error. Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks so much for watching. For Emily Dietz and Peyton Brooker, I'm Haley Swano.
And I'm Reese Thompson. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.